you, sir, for having me here. And I think as sir has already said, तो इस session का ऐसा format रखेंगे that we will first discuss psychology strategy. This will be more relevant for people who are starting psychology or who are doing psychology right now. Then we will move on to what students can do for mains 2022, those who are giving mains 2022. Usme bhi I further divided the topic into two parts: how I tackled mains and what are my recommendations for mains 2022. So आप लोग को जो भी questions है, you can type them in the chat. After I finish telling about these things, I will address those. Or you can, of course, ask me the questions through audio later on after I have finished this. So I think I'll start first with the psychology strategy and what did I do. Before that, let me give you a very short introduction. What is my background and why did I choose psychology? So essentially, I am not a psychology student. I have done my graduation in computer science, and I chose psychology because I was interested in the subject, and that is why I wanted to pursue it later in masters, but somehow I took up UPSC and then I thought of taking it up. So I have absolutely no background in psychology, never studied it before. This was the first time for me to study psychology. And I started my preparation in 2020, and this was my first attempt, and I got to 191 in psychology. So I think I will start with the psychology strategy, which is the first segment. First of all, and the most important thing that I would like to tell you is that be sure of what is your motivation for your optional subject. Be sure that you are interested in the motivation in your optional. And so your motivation should not be only limited to your interest, but it should also extend towards ki I have to finish this optional in whatever way I can. Like even if you don't have support, I am willing to go the extra mile to complete the subject, to perform well. So that sort of motivation you should have. If you are unsure about it, please think about it and then continue with your optional. I think that is a very important factor for any optional subject. Secondly, I would like to discuss about the study material that I used. So for paper 1, I used NCERT. I studied NCERT. And so firstly, I read NCERT first to understand that if I'm interested in the subject or not. So after giving it a reading, I was fairly sure that this is something that I can do. After doing that, after some time, I picked up NCERT and read it again. And then I moved on to Barron and Mishra, the advanced book. You can pick up Barron and Mishra, you can pick up Cicerelli, any of these, not both, any of these will do. Then after NCERT and Barron and Mishra, I did Mukul Pathak sir's notes for paper 1. So a lot of people, like I have read online that say that there are some people who say that the notes are pretty dry and other things. But I will say that I agree. Reading notes is a difficult job. If you don't go to a class, you're just reading their notes, it's very difficult. And it was very difficult. But so Mukul Pathak sir's notes actually has those extra points, extra topics which are there in the syllabus but not covered in Barron and Mishra. So for supplementing that knowledge, you will have to take his notes, Mukul sir's notes, either from whatever hard copy you can get it from Rajendra Nagar or any other place that you know of. If not Mukul Pathak sir's notes, any other notes that you know of, any other coaching notes that you know of, can help you cover the extra topics of paper 1 and or whatever extra topics there are which are not covered in Barron and Mishra. For paper 2, I referred to Smarak Swain's book, and so for paper 2 it was Smarak Swain. And in addition to all of this, so initially 1 year I studied at home, And after the prelims was postponed, I joined Chrome IAS's crash course, and I used their material to supplement the notes that I had already created. But paper 2 was mostly Smarak-Swain. I did not really supplement a lot of material of Smarak-Swain with other things. It was majorly Smarak-Swain. Third is coaching. So a lot of people ask that whether you should do coaching or not. I would say that you can also do self-study if you put in a lot of effort. I mean, it will take a lot of effort. Coaching will just help you sort of manage that effort. And coaching essentially helps you discuss what you are studying with other people. So you get a good idea that what is your understanding of certain concepts is correct or not. Furthermore, you may also get a direction in which way to prepare for your notes and do other things. So like if you can, you should do coaching. I mean, that is my perspective. Of course, if you believe in self-study, go ahead with it. But see, the goal is the same. You can take any path, but it is my perspective that if you do get certain coaching, it will be helpful, particularly in optional. GS ke liye to I may say that self-study may suffice. Optional ke liye, it is somewhat essential, because if you are not having a psychology background, or you come from a different background. Fourthly, I will address previous year questions, the importance of those. For optional, PYQs are very, very, very important. If you should not leave them at any cost. At any cost, you cannot leave them. This year's paper, so 2021's paper, it was easier than the previous years, right? And there were a lot of questions which were from previous years. I could, like when I started the paper, I could easily spot previous year questions there. And I had practiced those. So meri energy nahi gayi to think about those questions. I could easily jot in all the points that I had practiced and written. So that really helps. Moreover, PYQs also help you in identifying the important themes that occur in a chapter. For example, let's take intelligence, right? You will, when you look at the PYQs, you will understand that there are topics like Gardner's theory, past model. They are being repeated a lot. So these are very important. So while studying, you not only study what was Gardner's theory or what was past model, but you also study what were the positive contributions, what were their criticisms, which is not easily found in the books. You have to read them, these things like separately from the internet. So that is how PYQs help. I would recommend everyone to do PYQs from 10 years, for 10 years, say 2011 onwards, you should do all the PYQs if you can. And if you, if you figure out, there will be repetitions in the PYQs as well. So it is not exactly 10 years of PYQs, it is lesser than that. So you should try to figure that out. Now, the next thing that I want to discuss is answer writing. I did not do answer writing properly before prelims. I had joined that crash course of Chrome IAS, and in few classes we did answer writing. But you can say I had written hardly 8 to 10 answers overall if I add all the answers that I had written. So only 8 to 10 answers. And even before that crash course, I had tried writing answers. I knew I was not writing correctly, because though I had covered the basic material, I did not have that intuition of psychology, a good grasp of psychology, wherein if you give me any question, a real world scenario, real world question, and I can tell you that, this psychological concept can apply. For that, you need a very good understanding of how different chapters interconnect, how intelligence is related to memory, how is it related to problem solving, etc., etc. So that is why you need to first develop a good sense of the subject and then move on to solving PYQs and do answer writing. Again, this is my perspective. If you find the other approach more suitable, go ahead with it. Now, there is one framework which I would like to discuss for answer writing particularly. I had actually joined a test series post prelims, and sir had suggested me one framework. So I will share that with you. So this is called IRTES, which is Introduction, Theory, Examples, Introduction, Research, Theory, Examples, and Schema, IRTES. So that means that if you get a question, what is intelligence, right? So you have to introduce the keyword. You have to define that keyword, and always try to write the definition of the keyword which has been given by certain researcher. So that will add value to your question and to your answer. Second is research. If you know of any research that is associated with that intelligence, it actually means that who coined the word intelligence, or who was a famous researcher in this field, you can write that. T is for theory. Theory means that if the question asks you, define the, say, levels of processing approach of Craig and Lockhart. So you need to define the theory as well. First you have to define the theory, and then you move on to the answer, right? Then is E, that is examples. Throughout your answer, try to fit in as many examples as you can from real life, from things that you've observed. And S is for schemas, which means that try to inculcate flowcharts. So IRTES, you can try to use this framework in your answers, which will help you sort of structure your answers and bring in consistency in your answers. Now, lastly, for psychology strategy, the last topic that I want to discuss is about test series. So again, from my perspective, and I think that if you do a test series post prelims, that is fine. If you have, say, prepared your subject very well before prelims, then you can also take up the test series post prelims. That is not a problem. And that is also what sort of I did. I started the test series post prelims, and I aligned my preparation with that test series. So that is there for test series, but I would like to specifically focus here that whenever you are going for a test series, ask the teacher, ask whoever is taking the test series for a sample of the questions of what they will be providing, for a sample of the quality of the answers that they're checking. I mean, quality of the checking. So you can just ask them for an answer sheet that they have checked, so that you know what kind of remarks they are giving, how are they evaluating the answers. And moreover, also inquire beforehand that I will, what will be the frequency of, say, answer, right? What will be the frequency of the tests and of discussions that you may have with the teacher. So just be sure about asking these things. And yes, so this was my psychology strategy. Now, coming on to the next segment, which is how to handle time which has left for me in 2022. So we around have, let's say, 2.5 months we have. Now, this is still more than what was the time left when I started for mains 2021. So the result was, I think, declared around 28th October or something like that last year. And I had some similar time. So what I'm trying to say is that you still have a lot of time. You can still make a huge impact. So I will quickly share my experience for psychology and GS in both of these. For mains 2021, how I tackled both of these with the time that I had left, with the time which I had, which is similar to with the time which is available right now. So, okay. So now there are two major learnings here. Firstly, my experience will show you how if you devote sufficient time to optional, you can score very well in optional. Secondly, GS has two learnings. First learning is that if you have done answer writing before prelims, how you can still manage to do GS. The second learning is how if you practice less papers, you may suffer in GS. So I think what you guys can learn is how I devoted more time in optional, and that led to good results, and how relatively lesser time in GS gave me okay results, not great results. So I will quickly go over that. So for psychology optional, I will tell you what was my state. I had consolidated 7-8 chapters of paper 1 very well. Like I had short notes, wrote all of these chapters, 7-8 chapters. The rest of the chapters I had basic notes. Basic notes as in Baron plus NCRT plus Mukul Pathak Sir's notes. I had consolidated them early on. For paper 2, I had not touched paper 2 at all. So this was my state. So what I did was I picked up one test series. So there was this test series of Psyche Simplified, which was started by Sanket Jain sir, and there were 13 papers in the test series. I was able to attempt only 8 papers, but the idea was that I aligned my preparation with the test series. So the test series had 2-3 chapters of tests on, say, Sunday or Saturday. I would try to finish those chapters in 1 week or something like that. And I would also not only revise the notes that I had created, but also attempt the PYQs from 2011 onwards. This I did for paper 1. For all of paper 1, I did this. And now I would like to specifically mention here that doing through PYQs for 10 years is not an easy task. So I had certain friends who helped me complete those PYQs. And so overall, the idea was that there was a test series. I aligned my preparation with it, did the PYQs, revised my notes, and this was more or less how I prepared. Now, after giving those 8 tests, I was still left with a major portion of paper 2. There was, you can say 60% to 75% of paper 2 left. So I devoted December 20th onwards till 31st, like 10-11 days. I just gave to psychology paper 2, and I finished it off. Did some PYQs from 2015 onwards. I could not finish a lot of PYQs, but I still did those to get a good idea of the important themes and other things. So this was my psychology strategy post mains, post prelims, sorry. Now, GS. I will quickly go over GS. So what was my status post prelims GS? I had already done GS1 and GS4 answer writing program under Sarrthi before prelims. Now I was confident about GS1, GS4. Of course, I had to improve my scores. They were not great, but still, I had done it once. So before the result came in, I did some answer writing for GS1. And post prelims, I picked up GS4. Post result, I picked up GS4 and then GS3 and ultimately GS2. I was not able to give a lot of time to GS2 in particular. And so here I would like to highlight, please focus on the PYQs of GS1 and GS4. I did not do GS2 and GS3 PYQs because the content of GS2 and GS3 is dynamic, and PYQs, of course, are helpful, but I did not have time. If you have time, go ahead and do the PYQs of GS2 and GS3. I did not have time. I had already done GS4 PYQs a year before. But for GS1, I had done some of the PYQs before prelims. I completed the rest of the PYQs after prelims. Now, PYQs for GS1 are particularly important for modern history, art and culture, society. For society, they're very important, and geography, if you're able to do that. And apart from that, I did not have a very specific strategy. I mean, this is the only thing that I wanted to highlight here. For GS1, for GS4, another thing I wanted to highlight. If you can create a list of keywords and their definition with examples for ethics syllabus, this Sarrthi had a mentorship session and they had suggested it. I did that. I created about 30 pages of, I think 30 or somewhere around that, pages of notes where it had all the keywords of ethics, their definition and examples. That would be very helpful. You can revise it before the exam and you can really that really helps you revise what all encompasses ethics in a very quick way and is helpful for the exam. So GS1 and GS4, this was what I wanted to discuss. Now, quickly about GS2 and GS3. For GS2 and GS3, I entirely was dependent on current affair classes. Those people had suggested to read Lakshmikant and do the basic economics material. And of course, it is ideal to do that. I did not have time. I could not do that. So I completely relied on that. And for certain topics, which I could not cover in the current affair classes, because of lack of time, I did Means 365 for that. And I used the star list, which Sarrthi provides for that. So this was for GS. Overall, I've solved 9 papers for GS. So Varun sir had suggested to solve minimum of 9 papers for GS, which I did. And I think that is why I was able to do that, because he suggested कि minimum itna karna hi hai. But again, ideally पूछा जाए तो I would say कि अगर time है तो please और करिए. It will be really helpful. Apart from that, yes, essay. So I scored 130 in essay. No, 130 in essay, I think. 130 in essay I scored. Now, this is a very weird case. I used to perform very poorly in essay. I wrote my first essay post prelims. And in fact, I had given an essay test in Sarrthi also. I scored very poorly. But I kept on going. I kept on improving, looking at topic copies. How can I improve the framework, etc., etc. So I did that and I kept on practicing. Overall, I did 6 essays. 3 essays was like a part of test series. 3 essays I wrote on my own and just got it checked by some peers or some other people that I knew. Yes, so this is my essay, but I think on the essay paper day, I knew that I had written a fine essay because I was able to. So usually optional knowledge is not suggested to be used in essay because it becomes too technical. But I did use my optional knowledge. I did use psychology, but I did not use very technical terms there. I used it in a way a layman can understand, or a layman can think that how human mind or behavior works. So, I mean, if you guys want to use optional in your essay, do that way. That will be helpful. And I was in essay particularly able to cover a lot of dimensions in the paper. So yes, I think that worked for me on the exam day, though I was very poor at essay. And yes, so now this was my strategy, how I managed Means 2021. Now here are some of my recommendations that I would like to give to you. Now see, these are recommendations. You all may have a different preparation style. You may be at different phases in your preparation. You may have strong optionals or some may have strong GS. So of course, whatever my recommendations are, just choose the ones that you think are good for you. So I would firstly emphasize on dividing this preparation phase into 2 phases, right? First will go on, that is, which must be going on already, and that will continue till 15 days before the exam starts. So say the exam, I think, starts on 16 September, right? So you can say till end of August, this phase of preparation will go on till then. In the last 15 days or in the last 20 days, you have to focus. That will have an entirely different timetable. You have to focus on your weak areas. You have to focus on how will you have to focus on very quick revision of your optional and the GS thing. So please ensure that you divide your timetable into 2 parts. Secondly, this is something that I've already told you, but I will again tell you this. Please try to, if I think you guys have time and if you have already solved some GS papers, please try to solve more. And if you cannot, like minimum is 9 you have to solve GS papers, but if you can solve more papers, it will give you better experience and it will help you with your speed, etc. And a very, very important thing I want to highlight here is, please do not think that a mock test is not a test. Please give it like a real test. It means that the test has to be done in 3 hours, maximum save 10 minutes, 15 minutes over. मतलब शुरू में give that leeway that fine, अभी 10 minutes ऊपर हो रहा है, but as you progress, as you near the exam, try to squeeze in your writing in 2-3 hours, because this will reflect in the exam. You will not become a new person in the exam. I saw this happening with me. I used to write papers, and 10 minutes, I think I used to take extra sometime. 10 minutes extra lag jate the for some people, for some papers. And in the real exam, I wrote all the questions, right? But for some 10 markers, say 3-4 10 markers, I wrote them बहुत जल्दी में I wrote those 10 markers, and I did jot down all the important points in those 10 markers, but वो उतने अच्छे आंसर्स नहीं थे. Of course सब इतने अच्छे आंसर्स नहीं हो सकते हैं, but फिर भी मतलब there is a scope for improvement. I'm trying to say that. But again, this stage bhi tab ho paya when I was able to limit my writing time to 3 hours 10 minutes. If you are going for 3 hours, half an hour, 4 hours, don't do that, please. You have to go back to the drawing board, focus on how to write answers, and go again and give your exam tests. Please focus on writing in 3 hours and whatever, extra 10 minutes, not more than that. Next is PYQs. I have already highlighted it's important. Again, I would emphasize GS1, 4 and optional. इनके please PYQs करिए. इनके PYQs काफी important है, not only for repetition. GS के तो इतने repeat नहीं होते हैं, but GS के themes important identify करने के लिए बहुत help करेंगे, particularly say for art and culture. Art and culture में there is no hard and fast syllabus, right? But if you go through the PYQs, you will understand that temples पे focus है, या किस पे focus है, भक्ति movement पे focus है, विजयनगर पे focus है, other etc. Next my recommendation is about optional. See, अगर आप लोग का किसी का until unless आपका optional exceptional है कि well prepared है, test series भी कर लिया, सब कर रहा है, very good. But if it is not that, please give at least 50% to 40% time on optional. मतलब it is very important. मतलब मेरा score card example है how optional can really help you with your rank. So I think optional is very important. जैसे सब कहते हैं essay, ethics and optional, they are actually very important. Please focus on that. Okay, next is about notes. Abhi when you are preparing, you will be reading a lot of content, etc. प्लीज साइड बाय साइड ये भी प्लान करिए कि वो जो लास्ट 15 डेज होने वाले हैं उसमें आप क्विक रिवीजन कैसे करेंगे. उसमें क्विक रिवीजन करने के लिए यू नीड शॉर्ट नोट्स. तो वो शॉर्ट नोट्स आप कब बनाएंगे, कैसे बनाएंगे, उसका भी टाइम एलोकेट कर दीजिए. GS2 के लिए आई थिंक आई वाज एबल टू क्रिएट शॉर्ट नोट्स फॉर गवर्नेंस. GS3 मैंने पूरा शॉर्ट नोट्स बना लिया था. सो ये नॉट ओनली आपको लास्ट 15 डेज में हेल्प करता है, बट जब एक्चुअली मेंस का एग्जाम होता है, then you have like GS1, 2 on one day and the very next day of GS3 and GS4. तो उतने short time में 3-4 hours में revise करने के लिए अगर short notes हैं तो आप थोड़ा बहुत कर पाएंगे. वैसे उस time पे ज़्यादा revision हो नहीं पाता, but still, you do have an opportunity. If you don't have short notes, you anyways can't do anything. So please for those last 15 days and for the छोटा मोटा time जो भी exams के बीच में होता है, वहाँ के लिए short notes helpful रहते हैं. Also it helps you sort of consolidate the material in your mind as well. जितने again बन सकते हैं short notes. ऐसा again कोई hard fast rule नहीं है short notes बनाने का, but अगर बन सकते हैं, अगर आपके पास time है, please करिए. And last, my recommendation. Now, I think this was a very important event that helped me in my preparation. प्लीज अगर आप ऐसे सिटी में रहते हैं या कहीं भी रहते हैं जहाँ ऑफलाइन आप टेस्ट दे सकते हैं, लाइक मेंस के एनवायरनमेंट को सिमुलेट जो करे, प्लीज जाके दीजिए. जैसे लास्ट टाइम वी हैड विजन अभ्यास, दैट वाज हेल्ड ऑन आई थिंक 18-19 December. So the format of vision abhyas was, there was a GS1, GS2 test on the same day, GS3, GS4 on the other next day. I think forum also conducted a similar thing. So it is very helpful. It is very helpful. In real main setting, how did you perform in various subjects? It helps you gain confidence that I'm excellent, for example, say in this subject, I'm bad at this subject, on what to focus in the last, say 15 days or last 20 days. It would really help you understand and narrow down the subjects that you want to focus on. Secondly, आपका हाथ खुल जाएगा राइट करके. जब आप 2 दिन लगातार लिखेंगे 6 घंटे के लिए, it is a different experience altogether, and you have to get it before the real means. Real means में नहीं जाके experiment करना है. Let's simulate everything. Let's try to experience everything what is going to happen in the mains exam before means, right? Other than that, आप third important चीज है, you will understand what are the variables at play during the exam. For example, this was, I think, particular to the Vision Center, not really important during the mains exam, but still, I understood that this was a particular variable. After writing GS2, right? That is the most difficult part, I feel, because you are done with you have written 2 days papers, एक दिन essay, the other दिन you wrote GS1, GS2. Now you have started getting tired, but you still have to go for GS3 and GS4. तो वो particular जब आप घर जाते हैं और फिर वो पूरा रात जो होती है उसमें revision करना and to get over that tiredness, that is a challenge. I thought that was a challenge. तो ये ऐसे variables identify करने थोड़े important रहते हैं. So that really helps you कि this is something that I know and I can expect from the exam. So overall advice ये थी कि अगर आप जा सकते हैं विजन अभ्यास देने, फॉरम के टेस्ट देने, जो भी देने, तो प्लीज जाइए. काफी एडवांटेज रहते हैं उसके. मेंस का एग्जाम एनवायरनमेंट आप प्लीज सिमुलेट करिए. आई वुड नॉट रेकमेंड कि आप घर बैठ के ही 2 दिन एक साथ 4 टेस्ट सॉल्व कर लीजिए. मतलब वो रियल एनवायरनमेंट को सिमुलेट नहीं कर पाता है जब तक आपके आसपास बच्चे नहीं हो रहे हैं लिखने के लिए एंड टाइम नहीं है वो स्ट्रिक्ट आपके पास. सो दैट इज डिफरेंट देन राइटिंग इट एट होम. सो यस, आई थिंक आई एम done with whatever I had to recommend and suggest and tell you all. I will take up the questions right now. So मैं चैट वाले क्वेश्चंस ले रही हूँ. अगर आपको आप अपना ऑडियो ऑन कर सकते हैं जिसका क्वेश्चन मैंने लिया है, अगर आपको कुछ और एक्स्ट्रा पूछना है. बट प्लीज क्वेश्चंस अगर आप ऑडियो से पूछ रहे हैं ज्यादा बड़े मत रखिएगा, नहीं तो चैट वालों को नहीं टाइम देगा. तो पहला है KSVS रोहित का. Which coaching you join? Okay. Which coaching did I join and where to get notes of topics which is not found in Barron's Israeli Smartsman. Okay. Coaching to again I said, so I actually started preparing for optional in October 2020. मैंने उसके बाद घर पे ही prepare करा था and I did not have any plan of joining any coaching, but because the prelims was postponed, I joined Chrome IAS का crash course. They had it, they started it in I think June, July until mid of August, so around 2.5 months. And where did I get notes of topics which were not found in Barron and Israeli? So yes, तो मैंने जैसे कहा मुकुल पाठक सर के नोट्स से मैंने लिया था. आपको कोई और कोचिंग के नोट्स मिल जाते हैं या कुछ और मिल जाता है, you can refer to that. Other than that, काफी online अच्छी websites भी हैं. So actually I have a Telegram channel, ANUSHTHA KALIA AR143 करके. अगर आप उसमें देख लें, वहाँ मैंने एक पिन करा हुआ है नोट जिसमें मैंने काफी सारे रिसोर्सेज के लिंक्स दिए हुए हैं, तो उसमें आप देख सकते हैं. बट मैं एग्जांपल बताती हूँ. सिंपली साइकोलॉजी हो गया, वेरी वेल माइंड हो गया, देन देयर इज एग्जाम साइक रिव्यू का यूट्यूब वीडियो. देयर आर लॉट ऑफ, अगर आप, और विकिपीडिया, प्लीज विकिपीडिया में भी आपको काफी चीजों के नोट्स मिल सकते हैं. विकिपीडिया को इग्नोर मत करिएगा, उसमें काफी अच्छा वैल्यू एडिशन मटेरियल रहता है. रीडिंग करनी पड़ेगी. इट विल सीम दैट द टेक्स्ट इज डिफिकल्ट, बट व्हेन यू एक्चुअली रीड इट, it actually starts making sense. I did some value addition from Wikipedia as well. It's actually good. And you also get researcher ke citations in Wikipedia, so that's good. Which Mukul Pathak of Inserio or नहीं, वाजीराम के जो मुकुल पाठक सर के क्लासरूम नोट्स रहते हैं ना, I think राजेंद्र नगर में मिल जाते हैं. Those are the ones that I referred to. Again, कोई hard fast rule नहीं है, बट आई थिंक मुकुल पाठक सर के ही नोट्स अभी तक तो थे साइकोलॉजी मार्केट में जो सारा बेसिक मटेरियल कवर करते थे. बट अगर कोई और कोचिंग इंस्टीट्यूट्स आ गए हैं नोट्स के साथ जिनके बेटर नोट्स हैं, कुछ और हैं, तो आई एम नॉट अवेयर ऑफ दैट. बट हाँ, अगर यू हैव अ बेटर रिसोर्स तो प्लीज गो अहेड विद दैट. इज इट पॉसिबल टू स्कोर 300+ इन साइकोलॉजी ऑप्शनल? अपूर्वा, मेरे तो नहीं आया 291, बट अब ये देखो कि फर्स्ट अटेम्प्ट में with no background I could get to 91, right? And there are other people also who have scored 300 plus. I think Ravi Jain sir have scored, another person has scored, I don't remember unka naam, before Ravi Jain 333 he scored. So yeah, so in लोगों ने भी particularly focus करा on value addition. So मेरा suggestion ये रहेगा, complete your basic material, get a good intuition of psychology, try to interconnect things, and then go for value addition. And I think it is possible to score 300 plus. The effort लगने वाला है, but yes, with effort you can. Can we go for online coaching? iPhone ने कहा है. Yes, online coaching मैंने पूरी preparation online coaching से करी है, मैंने कभी offline coaching नहीं करी है. नीरव, is psychology a lengthy optional? Psychology, मतलब मैंने और कोई optional पढ़ा नहीं है, so I don't know, but yes, I have heard that psychology is a relatively lengthy optional. And psychology में थोड़ा, there is relatively less coaching support and consolidated material available. So that makes it a bit difficult in relation to other subjects. But I would say that it is interesting on the other hand. But yes, if you think, when you are choosing an optional, do think of a lot of parameters, not only interest, think about material availability, length, etc. Shubham Devpal, what to do when we don't have 10 points for 10 markers? Okay, 10 points nahi likhte 10 markers mein. We try to write 5 points. And you can write 5 points. And in worst case scenario, if you don't have 5 points, try to generate those. If you don't have that, तो थोड़े कम point लिखो, but उसको examples के साथ अच्छे से illustrate करो. Second, I am having an issue in writing conclusions. Okay. So conclusions, multiple ways से लिखे जा सकते हैं. So one way of writing conclusions can be you summarize what was a question about, right? And you sort of say that hence this is a very important concept having application here and here. So what I'm trying to say is जो आपका keyword है question का और जो question पूछता है उसी को summarize करते हुए, not really summarizing it, but one line अगर आपको लिखना है that it is an important concept altogether, a very basic thing जब आपको पास कुछ भी ना हो, but rather a good conclusion would be कि आप जो आपसे concept पूछा गया है आप उसके applications बता दीजिए different fields में. जैसे अगर आपसे पूछा गया है motivation का question, so you can tell कि hence motivation is a very important aspect of human behavior, which is applications in workforce management, education, etc. So you can write about examples, applications there. Or the second thing is you can write about any recent advancement in that field. For example, if I talk about personality, right? If there is a question about personality, जिसमें आपसे पूछा गया है that which can we say personality के बारे में, let's say Freud के बारे में पूछा गया है, या let's say trait models पूछे गए हैं, right? So after you've written your answer, you can say that there are these models have been there, or these theories have been there for in the trait theories, but more research has been done, and say models like these diseases have come up. So you can tell about what future research or recent advances in research have been done. मैं थोड़ा और concrete example देती हूँ, मैं अच्छा example नहीं दे पाई. जैसे Big Five पे आता है question. So when you talk about Big Five, after writing about Big Five model, you can also say that Big Five has contributed a lot in psychological understanding of personality. Moreover, further advances in form of Hexaco, एक model है वो आया है, have also been made. You can say something like that. So yes, what I'm trying to say is research based. There can be application based, or you sort of summarize if you don't have anything there.